the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hello, everyone. Thank you much for joining us today. Thank you all that watched our prior live with growing up in Scientology this morning, talking about Julian Schwartz, the kid who also grew up in Scientology at the cadet org, that Julian Schwartz, that definitely got posted to be an ethics officer of a case supervisor for Richard Reese that we brought up in that live with Aaron. And we're going to do more breakdowns of what in the literal hell Julian Schwartz was doing inside those hotels. And more importantly, you guys, who was enabling Julian to act unhinged and as a total psychopath for himself? Who did he get that idea from to be acting that way? Because, you know, we're not here to demonize anyone. We're not here to just blab our mouth about this and that. We're coming with receipts, we're coming with specifics, and we're looking underneath the surface, because complicated subjects require you to really dig in the weeds, to really pull the string, like they used to tell us in Scientology. Pull that string, pull it. Don't just leave it there. Don't just play dumb like the Tampa Bay Times and the Clearwater Police. Don't do that. Because when you do that, you end up with an entire downtown filled with empty AF buildings that have not a shred of human inside, all paid in cash, all with child minors that are working and staffing those hotels, a la Julian Schwartz, and like me. So that's what we want to talk about in terms of that. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out with growing up in Scientology, go check it out for yourselves. And we want to start to get into the weeds of this live, which is another subject, you guys, but it's something that is very important. So we're going to start with this statement. In a chilling revelation, whistleblower Tara Lee Rodas has come forward to expose a deeply unsettling reality within the U.S. government's involvement in the child migrant crisis. Her testimony delivered to the House Judiciary Committee has sent shockwaves through our understanding of child trafficking. As we delve into the disconcerting parallels between child trafficking within the secretive world of Scientology hotels, where systemic and institutionalized abuses of minors took place and take place as we speak, the broader child migrant crisis, we are confronted with a stark question. What in the literal living hell is going on? In the wake of the scandals involving Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, who were notorious for collecting blackmail material on their influential associates, it's become abundantly clear that the U.S. government has allowed a very similar operation to unfold, but at a grand and alarming AF scale. Dave and Shelly Miscavige at the helm of Scientology appear to have run a comparable operation, one that operates with a level of audacity and intensity that is truly, utterly shocking AF. The implications of these revelations are profound. We must address the uncomfortable truth that elements within our government, whether knowingly or unwittingly, have acted as middlemen in a deeply disturbing web of child trafficking at scale. It is an affront to the principles of justice, morality, and human rights upon what this nation was founded. As we shine a light on these unsettling realities, we must demand transparency, accountability, and a thorough investigation into all the allegations related to, including but not limited to, systemic child trafficking of minors into the United States. We cannot allow this issue to be buried or ignored any longer. Our duty to protect the vulnerable and ensure the safety and well-being of our children transcends political lines and affiliations. It is a matter of utmost urgency that we address this crisis head on and take the necessary steps to bring those responsible to justice. The testimonies of brave whistleblowers like Tara Lee Rodas serve as a reminder that we must confront the darkness that exists within our society, even when it implicates those in positions of power, especially when it involves those in positions of power that are wielding that power to erode all manner of laws that are in the books, that kneecapped every last shred of human trafficking law that was written on a book, but could not be more toothless in this year 2023, as we speak, literally. And last but not least, we would love to hear from the leadership of at Thorn, child trafficking 501c Thorn. And what are you all really gonna do at Thorn to make up the damage of your organization's horrific exploitation of our pain in the wake of your COB, your chairman of the board of over a decade, Ashton Kutcher, that did find the balls to step down, but does not find a shred of balls to step up, which is what this moment in history actually calls for. So let's do less of crisis management at Thorn, and let's do more transparency and accountability if y'all are really at all anything other than a front. Another one of these money collecting scams, 501(c)(3)s that are looking shady AF as we speak, you guys. And I really want you to look at the testimony that you're gonna hear. So we really gonna like take it upon ourselves to compare and see how a real whistleblower, Miss Tara Lee Rodas, sounds like. And then let's just really compare in our heads what Ashton Kutcher was doing when he was doing his cheap AF used car salesman pitch that he took it upon himself to go to Congress and really go rally those people at Congress, placed there by his tech borough friends of Silicon Valley to go, you know, get some money for child trafficking because they really care. Those tech bros at Silicon Valley are really, really pressed about apparently doing a lot for child trafficking. Never mind that there's all manner of middle men from this government aiding and abetting such disgusting, horrific criminal acts on kids that don't have a shred of an advocate to speak for them. So here it is. And let's really compare notes, you guys. This is definitely one that you want to grab your little notes and start writing your questions, because we need a lot of questions being asked of the Florida Department of Justice, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the FDLE, who does have an Instagram account, you guys. Believe it or not, the FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, that really wants to enforce the law. So just for y'all that have asked me on the comments where you can do something to help, just go here at FDLE on Instagram and see. Today is actually Missing People Day, is what they're calling it. Missing People Day. Imagine Missing People Day, guys, being celebrated by the FDLE, and they don't have a shred of photo for a shred of minor missing inside those hotels. So if you go to our community tabs, you'll find that post for yourselves. And you can find the questions that in the comments that I'm writing to them. But I need y'all to start asking your own questions. As we hear and as we learn, we must take action. It's not enough that we just show up to the lives and hear this disgusting, horrific, systemic, institutionalized, aided and abetting abuse of minors, as if we really don't have anything better to do with our time, right, guys? So once again, I really appreciate every single one of you that is coming to our lives, that is showing up, that is holding space for the unthinkable to be discussed. So I do understand that my videos are sometimes hard to digest. I get it. I understand. And if you need to take care of your mental health and this is not a video for you because you're a victim of SA, by all means, skip this video and skip our lives, because we don't come here to trigger anybody. We're coming with advocacy needed for kids that are stuck inside hotels that are not getting a shred of help as of this year, 2023. No matter how much money this government supposedly, purportedly throws at this problem, apparently not a shred of victim is the benefactor of any shred of advocacy, much less help. So let's really compare, guys, and take your notes.
Our final witness is Ms. Rodas, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, let's give Ms. Rodas 5 minutes. You're on the clock, Ms. Rodas, and 5 minutes really advocate for all the dysfunction that you saw. Well, Ms. Rodas, you guys will see, is an excellent speaker, and in 5 minutes, she said everything that needed to be said.
Good afternoon, Chairman McClintock, Ranking Member Japal, and distinguished members of the committee. It is an honor to be here. I thank you for the invitation to share my testimony. My goal is to inspire action to safeguard the lives of migrant children, including the staggering 85,000 that are missing.
So again, Ms. Rodas has really actually inspired us. So she's already off to a very good start. And despite the fact that we cannot claim that there's 85,000 minors, workers, foreign workers, such as myself, brought from another country to become slaves in the United States, our problem is small, but our problem is literally the business model of so many of these traffickers of kids, you guys. So we don't claim that we are the most affected, biggest group of kids. I mean, she just told us 85,000 minors are unaccounted for in this country. And, probably there's, 100, 150, 200, 300, 400, 500 just in Florida of minors, and then another 100, maybe 200, maybe 300, maybe 400, maybe 500 minors in Los Angeles, and less and less and less in other organizations. But don't be fooled, even if there's 20 or 30 minors, that's still one minor too many.
Today, children will work overnight shifts at slaughterhouses, factories, restaurants to pay their debts to smugglers and traffickers. Today, children will be sold for sex.
So shout out to us who definitely already had what Ms. Rodas is explaining here. We were working all night, not at a slaughterhouse per se. We weren't slaughtering animals, but we were being kept all night building hotels for including but not limited to Hollywood celebrities that wanted to come to very fancy hotels for themselves, aka John Travolta, aka Tom Cruise, aka rest in peace, Christy Alley, and all the million of Scientology celebrities you've already been told ad nauseum by the corporate media. Every single segment they've ever touched on Scientology, they pitched you guys, the celebs, that were all about coming to these hotels where children, including but not limited to myself, were put to work all night doing heavy construction work, demolition. We were doing electrical, we were doing cement, we were doing drywall, we were doing sheetrock. We were literally doing all of that without a shred of protection, without a shred of knowledge. We were just told to make it go right and figure it out. And we would be sent on laps to run around the hotel if, God forbid, we made a shred of a mistake during construction. So the parallels of the child trafficking could not be any more obvious AF. And apparently nobody knows a shred of a thing in the entire United States.
Today, children will call a hotline to report they are being abused, neglected, and trafficked, and we don't know if they're going to get the help they need. For nearly a decade, unaccompanied children have been suffering in the shadows, and I have to confess, I knew nothing about their suffering until 2021, when I volunteered to help the Biden administration with the crisis at the southern border.
Well, shout out to the Biden administration, who is doing not a shred of a thing, literally, as we speak, as so many of our friends that were trafficked from other countries sit there today, even as adults, you guys, literally being worked to death, literally being worked overnight shifts, being paid nothing, and being told that they are really having a religious experience for themselves as they are abused ad nauseum 365, 24/7. Shout out to all our friends. Shout out to Luke Burns. Shout out to Chris Sea. Shout out to Benjamin Rinder. Shout out to Jackie Rodriguez, my cousin that was recruited at, I think, 13 or 14, you guys. Shout out to Alondra Rodriguez, another minor that was trafficked in there at 13, 14. My aunt and uncle, Sergio and Sandra Rodriguez, who did take it upon themselves to give these people 2 of their underage daughters to go be worked to death in those hotels. Never mind that the Scientology parents, most of the time, said, this year is not really for me, but you should do it for yourself because you're going to make us real proud. Well, please pitch that to us today, because in this year 23, we couldn't be more disgusted and appalled with your dumb AF adult choices about how you were going to save a lot of money by putting 2 of your underage girls inside a hotel to be abused by Scientology executives who didn't give a shred of an F how many minors they could have for themselves. Very a la Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein, you guys. Very much like that, except at least Ghislaine and Jeffrey weren't, housing these minors too, right? These minors at least got to go home after they did a disgusting, gross massage to the people that Ghislaine and Jeffrey wanted blackmail. So Shelly and Dave didn't want the minors to go back to their house after they did disgusting, gross sessions. So let's make sure that that point is clear. So we really start seeing what's different between Ghislaine and Jeffrey and Shelly and Dave. Because they were both into blackmail. They were both into celebrity circles. They were both into having, you know, Jeffrey had a whole island for him and his buddies. And, you know, Shelly and Dave had a whole floating cathedral where they could keep people very, very tightly controlled. Trust. And they're still floating their cathedral at the Bahamas, sending minors across state lines, across international waters. It's not like we don't have a federal child trafficking lawsuit in Florida already filed from 3 minors being made to come into the US and then quickly end up at a ship without their passports. So that's where we are today. In this year 2023, the government doesn't have a shred of a literal clue. You guys, literally.
Part of Operation Artemis, I was deployed to the Pomona Fairplex Emergency Intake Site in California to help HHS, Office of Refugee Resettlement, reunite children with sponsors in the United States. I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the US border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations.
So imagine, guys, Ms. Rodas here just got us confused for a second because we thought, oh, is she talking about the Scientology business model of recruiting kids in their literal country, telling them, we're really going to get you an R1 visa. Don't you worry about it. Don't you want a green card? Don't you want to live in the US? Don't you want to work in the literal hotel where Tom Cruise is going to show up? Don't you want to be part of something important instead of living in Mexico, in a disgusting country, Mexico, third world country that you're from? Literally, kid you not, that was part of the pitch from Alicia Danilovich, my recruiter. You don't want to go back to Mexico, do you? You don't want to end up back there in a third world country, in a disgusting country. Well, you know what, Alicia? I love Mexico. Mexico was a beautiful, amazing country to me. And everything bad that happened into my life was because I was trafficked across your border and locked up inside your hotel, Alicia Danilovich, my recruiter. So, yeah, Ms. Rhodes is making incredible points about how this is a very sophisticated network where, you know, kids are going to be delivered into the hands of, including but not limited to, Debbie Cook and Angie Blankenship, the 2 Ghislaine Maxwells on steroids that those 2 women are, who literally, kid you not, you guys, they just collect little checks for themselves on a monthly basis today because they really want to keep their mouths literally stapled shut. Literally, they grab a staple and they just go like that to their lips every day as they catch another check. I'm here for my check. Let me just cash it real quick and let me go back to my pathetic home and staple my mouth again so that I don't speak about all the minors that I was trafficking for myself. That's what's going on. Very sophisticated networks of utter BS.
Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking.
Well, shout out to you, Debbie Cook, that was using minors as literal cash cows. You guys, I was given a quota from Debbie Cook, every single week that she child trafficked me inside her hotel and would say, Serge, that's your quota, $100,000. You're our little child cash cow. You are the one that is going to make us $100,000 by really completing these courses that you really are taking it upon yourself to teach these adult clowns that come and get taught by children how to launder, including but not limited to Class A felonies. And before y'all get very confused of how in the hell I'm coming out with 100K, this is what is called, you guys, another one of these little acronyms of these people, VSD. And if VSD means nothing to you, well, now it is going to mean a lot, because VSD, you guys, is literally what in those hotels they called value of services. Can you think the last word? D. What could D stand for? Value of services delivered. $100,000. A child is told in those hotels they are personally responsible to make for those clown executives that are dressing themselves up in ridiculous cosplay clown military uniforms from hell, insulting every last military person in the United States. But I guess the government doesn't care about these clowns literally personifying actual heroes, actual people that do put their literal life on the line, not in a pathetic hotel, but in actual combat. So when that can start making a little bit of a shred of sense, we will let you know. But right now, we are running around confused AF.
Now, whether it's intentional or not, it could be argued that the United States government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit.
Bad actors, shout out to you, Ashton Kutcher, a real horrendous bad actor that you are. A horrific, horrendous actor that couldn't be more D-list if you literally tried. I don't think that's what Ms. Rodas is talking about here, actors, but right about now, your name really did pop up.
Off of the lives of children.
And they are profiting off of the lives of children. And is this U.S. government really that inept, you guys, or are they playing dumb? Because that's our question today. Ms. Rodas here, you know, who is a very respectful lady, who really knows what in the hell she is talking about, is giving this government of the United States the benefit of the doubt. Maybe unwittingly, maybe none of y'all had a shred of a clue what in the hell you were getting involved. Never mind that there's billions of dollars being made on the back of children that I guess no one has a shred of a clue. I guess Thorne's technology does not find a shred of trafficking when it comes to migrant children. I guess this technology just literally goes and just falls apart immediately when the word migrant is brought up, because we couldn't be more confused how that technology is being used to find a shred of trafficked victim, given that apparently that technology did not also work when it was put to task on Scientology hotels, where Danny Masterson was a paid member too, where Mila and Ashton were sitting down having tea at the Rose Garden at Celebrity Center, seeing all manner of minors walking around them. Do you need anything else? Can I get you something else? I'm really a volunteer here. Really? All of these kids were just volunteers with their passports locked up in Celebrity Center, So shout out to the LAPD, who does have a human trafficking department, you guys, but apparently doesn't give an F if minors' passports are locked up. Isn't that interesting?
As for me, my interest is the safety of the children. I do not view this as a political issue. I view this as a humanitarian issue. I assure you, my motives are the highest and best. I want the children protected. So I want to tell you some of what I witnessed personally at the Pomona Fairplex.
So just like Ms. Rodas said, you guys, we are not here to make a shred of a political anything. We've already called the Biden administration out for this. Prior to that, it was the Trump administration. And prior to that, it was the Obama administration. And just prior to that was the Bush administration. And just prior to that was the Clinton administration. So since 1993, these people that have been running a 501c, a depraved, disgusting, horrific AF child trafficking 501c from hell, and every last shred of administration is literally, this is what it's called, you guys. This is the word that comes to mind right about now. Implicated. Oh, we forgot the D. Implicated AF is every last administration of bumbling idiots that could not figure out a shred of a thing, that could not call up the IRS and be like, is this really a 501c? What in the hell is going on? Where they're forcing women to do the unthinkable when they become pregnant. And they're being forced to do that. Not that they wanted it, not that they had a shred of a choice. But yes, every last presidential person in this country who has had access to Google, shout out to Google, who does really do give access to people so no one can play dumb. Since all of this, as we always say ad nauseum and are tired of saying it, is just a literal GTS away. I mean, seriously, guys, what are all of these political, presidential administrations really doing the job, really applying the law, really taking care of all those billions that are apparently really being used at the expense of kids that are stuck with the bill, with the literal bill, is what we have in this country. No immigration laws, just rampant legal malpractice is all we see.
I saw vulnerable indigenous children from Guatemala who speak Mayan dialects and cannot speak Spanish. That means they cannot ask for help in English. They cannot ask for help in Spanish. They become captives of their sponsors.
Well, and shout out to Debbie Cook. Shout out to you, Debbie Cook, who also went around, what was it, recruiting migrants, not indigenous from Guatemala, you guys. Debbie Cook would grab people like from Russia, Siberia. She would be sending her child trafficking recruiters all the way out to Siberia and tell them, you must recruit as many people as you can scam. And who did Debbie Cook show up with? Literally, we will be interviewing that child that Debbie Cook trafficked for herself all the way from Siberia, who didn't speak a shred of English when she got to her hotel. So aren't all of these child traffickers doing the same literal thing? Literally. That's all that comes up. Everything is just a copycat of the same BS business model from hell that no one in America has a shred of a clue or a shred of critical thinking skills to apply to really like do anything about it, right? Because it's all just apparently being enabled.
I have sat with case managers as they've cried to tell me the horror of what has happened to children as they make the journey to this country.
And apparently, the case managers that Ms. Rodas is discussing, you know, Debbie Cook also had case supervisors. So she had adults that were supervising what was going on with these kids. But the only difference that we can see from Ms. Rodas' testimony and Debbie Cook's case supervisors is the case supervisors didn't give a shred of an F. Trust me, you wouldn't have found a single case supervisor there shedding a single shred of a tear from literally locking up kids inside hotel rooms, interrogating them ad nauseum, recording that all for themselves, passing it around between executives, really watching the abuse take place while they all sadistically laughed, while they all sadistically purported to be doing something useful for the planet. In what world is abusing a minor full knowing so great for the planet? Because right about now, we need every last shred of Scientology parent to pitch that to us, the kids of Scientology that were dumped in those hotels. We really need to know that extremely soon.
Country. I saw apartment buildings where 20, 30, and 40 unaccompanied minors have been released. I saw sponsors trying to simultaneously sponsor children from multiple ORR sites at one time. I saw sponsors using multiple addresses to obtain sponsorships of children. And I saw numerous cases of children in debt bondage, and the child knew they had to stay with the sponsor until the debt was paid.
Well, shout out to the business model that Debbie Cook and Angie Blankenship were running inside of the Florida hotels, who definitely, most definitely had us all under this, what Ms. Rhodes just brought up. Debt bondage. Debt bondage. AF. Because it wasn't like we just owed for a little plane ticket or anything. It wasn't like we were just owing them for, you know, a small little bit of room and board here and there. No, we were signing invoices for $10,000, including but not limited to, you really want to do your Key to Life? Don't you want to do your Key to Life course? Because that's going to run you up at $10K. But you know, sign up the invoice. Don't worry. You don't have to pay us a shred of a dollar. How old are you? 14? Yeah, you don't have to pay us a shred of a dollar because we're going to give this to you. Just don't leave the hotel under any circumstances and keep your passport with us locked up. Because that is the type of volunteers that Monique Yingling is on the literal record telling the media how we were all just some jolly old volunteers. Kids that were pitched inside those hotels as if we were adults in small bodies, you guys. Literally adults in small bodies that could have racking up a debt bondage from hell, being subjected to the most disgusting forms of dehumanizing interrogations, all propped up by a disgusting American so-called bread god, L. Ron Hubbard, indicted and convicted felon. So debt bondage is a huge part of child trafficking. And I'm sure that at the Human Trafficking Investigators Worldwide Conference that was just held in Clearwater, Florida, kid you not, wonder how much of that was covered in their conference that they were having for themselves. The conference that the FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, thought, you know where we really have to have a human trafficking investigators conference, you guys? Let's do it in Clearwater. Let's just do it right there because, you know, we really want to talk about human trafficking as the investigators that we are, as the pathetic investigators that can't seem to find a shred of human trafficking anywhere.
realizing that we were not offering the children the American dream, but instead putting them in modern-day slavery with wicked overlords, was a terrible revelation.
I mean, I told you guys, Ms. Rodas knows what in the hell she is talking about. Wicked AF overloads. Shelly Miscavige, deranged as that woman was, deranged, psychotic, crazy ass, entitled, signing all manner of CSWs, you guys. And I know you're not going to know what in the hell I mean by this. Shelly Miscavige, who sat at the very top of the pyramid scheme right underneath David. So here's David and here's Shelly. Deranged, disgusting Shelly Miscavige that was right here underneath David. Guess what she was approving? The CSWs. Okay. And what am I talking about CSW? This is a completed staff work. So when people went into Debbie Cook's hole, and I don't know if I'm losing you all already, but the RPF, the literal hole that Debbie Cook ran in Florida, after I was trained and twinned with a self-admitted, literally, you know what in the hell I mean, or if you don't, here's the word so we don't get censored. When I was twinned with a self-admitted this that Marty Rathbun found for himself doing ethics interviews where the man admitted to doing this in his ethics handlings. After 2 years of doing that whole program, I had to literally put all these banker boxes together to compile what is called a CSW, where Shelly Miscavige sat there and read every last thing I had in those worksheets. Like just tons and tons of papers and evidence and videos that we were supposed to submit, where all this information was fully known. I mean, our CSWs had to be very, 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 very good. Otherwise, Shelly was going to send that to you and say, what in the literal hell are you sending me this deaf tea? So as much as everyone's looking for Shelly, wondering if she could possibly be implicated or if she's just some sort of victim that has not a shred of a clue about anything, Shelly was the top person approving the CSWs of every minor that was sent to Debbie Cook's hole as a result of having gone out 2D. So again, for all of you who are joining us who doesn't know what in the hell out 2D is, which is written like this, doesn't even make sense to say it. That's a word and that's a letter. This is a number. Out 2D. So out 2D was anything from literally this to literally anything. It was the generic term those clown women took it upon themselves to, you know, play dumb and pretend that a word could just be replaced by another word. So Shelly Miscavige, the great, amazing Ghislaine Maxwell personified that she is on steroids, who is fully knowing about every last self-admitted this inside those hotels. And then we wonder why she's not coming out of her own hole that she just dug up for herself as a grown woman. And yes, I know some of you are really shedding tears for Shelly, but you know, when that grown woman that was also child trafficked herself, where all of this was normalized, can come to her senses, since she was a full-grown woman when she was laundering felonies for exactly these people that were inside those hotels, maybe she can come to her senses. And maybe instead of asking her all the time, oh, Shelly, do you want to come out? We really want to do a little wellness check on you, Shelly. Are you okay? Are you okay? Maybe we can start doing wellness checks on the kids that are there right now, since we literally have this many wellness checks done on kids, you guys, so far. Literally, how many wellness checks on kids have been done? This many. And purportedly, Shelly has been given a lot of checks. Never mind that we don't know if that's even true, because it's already been a decade almost, or years. I don't even know how many. You can put it in the comments how many years it's been since we've been looking for Shelly, and she doesn't want to come out apparently. And every time the police is asked to really give us some transparency on that wellness check, they come up with all manner of BS. So when we say the government is in on it, please, government, tell us how you are not in on it. Are you all just pathetic fools that have not a shred of a clue what you're doing? Or are you coordinating all manner of things and expecting us to just sit here and literally count flies? Because it's not like it's already been decades of all of this disgusting, enabled, state-sanctioned dysfunction, all because y'all thought the ramblings of a fully indicted and convicted felon was really who you needed to tap to make a religious overlord for yourselves here in America. America birthed a god. He's called L. Ron Hubbard. No one's going to know a shred of a thing because everyone's so stupid and the corporate media has not a shred of a spine. So they will never call us out. So what's to worry about, right, guys? Like, no one is pressed. No one gives an F.
A terrible revelation. These children are a captive victim population with no access to law enforcement or knowledge of their rights. They are extorted, abused.
I mean, you guys, no knowledge of our rights, check mark. Stuck inside those hotels without a shred of a clue what in the hell we were doing, check mark AF.
Neglected. And that is why I blew the whistle in 2021. I witnessed firsthand the horrors of child trafficking and exploitation. My life will never be the same after what I saw.
And unfortunately for some of us, guys, we didn't just witness it as bystanders on the side, seeing what in the hell they were doing. That's the adults that were inside those hotels. That apparently even today, as of this year 2023, we don't have a shred of a Scientologist saying what Ms. Rodas is telling us here. Where is the Ms. Rodas of the adults inside of those hotels? As of this year 2023, there is not one single person that walks out of that hotel with a spine, because apparently they do take spines out of humans inside of those hotels. Because there is not a shred of whistle blowing talking about what they were doing, what they observed, how many minors were being affected by all of the dysfunction of what the idiots were doing for themselves. It's called, what did you do with your own two hands, instead of pointing the finger at David, 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 and David, 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 and David, David, David. They cannot get the word David out of their mouths. And though David and Shelly ran this shit, or ship, as they like to call it, as they like to dress up in those military uniforms, as you can see from our thumbnail, David Miscavige taking himself very seriously because his dad, Ron Miscavige, told him L. Ron Hubbard was the shit. And that's what we have. All of us locked up against our will, with our passports locked up, because David and Shelly really had a dream of their own to be like Ghislaine and Jeffrey on steroids and have a ton of accomplices for themselves, a ton of willing accomplices, mind you. They were very willing to sign up that contract, that they did have the age to be signing contracts and the ability to sign that contract. Never mind that all of us who didn't have that age, who didn't consent to any of this, are being all thrown in the same bucket by the idiots of the corporate media who pretend everyone in that hotel is the same. And they have dehumanized every last shred of child inside of those hotels, because you wouldn't even know we exist by face. If you look at the corporate media, abysmal, horrific, unthinkable, reckless AF coverage. They really have covered a lot, right, guys? Or they really have cashed a lot of checks for themselves. Which one is it?
But I have hope because I'm counting on you. It's my hope that you'll take action to end this crisis, to safeguard the lives of these vulnerable children. People have asked me, what can be done? What would you suggest? Well, first, I think HHS's #1 priority is oversight. They must commit to oversight, transparency, and accountability. If I could wave a magic wand, this, I believe, could be quickly solved by experts in the IG community.
See, you guys, I mean, how many millions was Ms. Rodas given to make this speech versus how many millions was Ashton asking for himself to be paid to care? Because that would be a very good question to ask. I bet you Ms. Rodas is doing this because she cares. I bet you Ms. Rodas is doing this, bringing up actual things that would help. I mean, transparency and accountability with a magic wand would really do a lot for this country. Right about now, it would really do a hell of a lot. But all we get is the publicists of TikTok that give us these how to get your image back on track and how to redeem it. And you really have to step down and you really have to call Anderson Cooper and you really have to tell Mila to shut the F up because she doesn't know what in the hell she's talking about, and just let Ashton talk and just really say you're sorry a million times and everyone's going to buy their pitch. And all we have is the Thorn leadership. I mean, the leadership of Thorn that really knows what in the hell they're doing by, instead of asking their chairman of the board to step the F up and put his money where his literal mouth is, tells him, no, step off. Step the F away from this board, because you know what? As long as you leave, as long as you go back to just playing cutesy wootsy with your wife, the scammer of selling unregistered securities, Mila Kunis herself, then America's just gonna go back to everything was great right before y'all literally were blackmailed into writing those pathetic, disgusting letters that y'all thought really were going to a judge, and that Miss Olmedo was literally just going to read those disgusting things and, just stay in her chambers. I guess that was Miss Olmedo's responsibility, to just sit there and read those nauseating letters that really spell out the hypocrisy of a chairman of the board of a purported child trafficking, whatever it is that Thorne says it is. But I'm sure that a little clean redemption tour of their image with a corporate media talking head is gonna get us all really sorted, right, guys? It's all gonna make sense real quick, and we're all gonna have, what is it called? I don't know, some sort of like delusion, I guess.
There is a Pandemic Analytics Center of Excellence, or the PACE as we call it. I believe if data analysts at the PACE could look at the data, children could be rescued, criminals could be prosecuted if the PACE had access to this data. It shows where the children are and who has them. I think also we need to change the culture of speed over safety. Speed is the wrong performance measure when dealing with children. We need to revamp the vetting process of sponsors and have case managers who have investigative backgrounds, data analytics backgrounds, some certified fraud examiners. And I think we need to reimagine a system where the sponsor is the accountable party. Sponsors should be required to report to ORR.
I mean, imagine in those hotels, you guys, there is no sponsor. There is no nothing. You're told you're an adult in a small body. What in the literal hell are you complaining about? And do all this back-breaking work and do all those interrogations, ask all last shred of felon that wants to really admit to a child inside a hotel room that they're doing the unthinkable, including but not limited to what you all know, what in the hell Danny Masterson was literally indicted for, because kids are just adults in small bodies. So no one could ever help a single shred of child in there, because we were never in the statistics of anybody. So our plight inside those hotels is even harder, because the government can really play dumb and say, well, we had not a shred of a clue those kids were there. They all have very legal R1 visas. They all have very legal marriages, including but not limited to marriages to Americans, being married to Americans as underage kids. So they could obtain a green card and they could stay in the country being enslaved. And aren't you so lucky to be living the American slave dream that is fully real, fully sanctioned? The Constitution said slavery was abolished, and then Congress shredded that Constitution and decided to know better and really tackle the IRS, really tap the IRS commissioner, who really knows what a 501c is. Right, guys? I mean, it's not like a 501c can be a million things, but apparently all it took is to literally invoke this word, another one of these words with numbers and letters. And then all the critical thinking skills went to, I'll tell you where they went, to the shredder. 501c, you can't do anything. You can't have a critical thought. You can't think anything. You can't investigate anything. Let's just run America, the land of the free, free to do whatever in the F you want to kids. That's what America is, you guys. The land of literally do whatever in the hell you want to kids, and see if by the time those kids figure out that they're getting abused and defrauded and coerced and dead bondaged, by that time, sorry, maybe next lifetime is gonna be really great for you. See if you can do some good deeds this life. So when you really do come back, maybe we will care. But at this rate, you guys, even next lifetime, slave children is going to be very much an American thing, because America loves slaves, loves it. They can't get enough of it. They didn't just build their whole country on it. They're still at it. They're still at it, making these pathetic celebrities, so-called masters, so-called VIPs, so-called, we really should be looking at what in the hell you're doing in Hollywood, because it's not like Hollywood and Scientology are not right about now looking like synonyms. Literally. Where does the child trafficking happen for actors? A la Danny Masterson, he was child trafficked by Hollywood and child trafficked by Scientology. Double whammy for him. And now he's nothing but a pathetic, convicted, indicted, what in the literal hell we mean. I mean, all of you in the chat do know that.
And lastly, stop retaliating against whistleblowers. Stop retaliating against the people who are trying to tell the truth to save the children. As it is written, a wise man listens to advice, while a fool continues in his folly, and HHS needs to be wise to care for these children.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired.
Yeah, your time is expired, Ms. Rhodes. Your time is expired. Thank you very much. We really do need to go to the next thing that we really do care about in this Congress of the United States, who, again, you guys, actions do speak much louder than literal words, than literal platitudes, than literal PR pathetic strategies to launder their image. So what did we learn today, you guys? That there are people, there are very good American people, such as Ms. Rodas, who is the literal epitome of a whistleblower, who begged at the end of her whistleblower statement to not be retaliated against, to not be fair game, because apparently sounds like Scientology are not the only ones that are all about fair game in this lawless country that allows for whistleblowers to be silenced so that they can cover their little child trafficking MF scheme. But, I know that every single one of you in the comments is not one of those people. We're all sitting here having to look through what's already available in the public record so we can start contextualizing what in the hell we are talking about. So I think another really incredible thing that we just learned in this video today from Ms. Rodas is her tenacity and her clarity, and what it looks like when you're not pitching for your tech bros in Silicon Valley who really do care about anything other than their damn selves. You guys, let's ask Mark Zuckerberg, whose platform is used every single day for people to do the unthinkable. But he's got all manner of protections and all manner of people there in that Congress that really have helped them build, a concrete wall, impenetrable concrete wall. So Mark Zuckerberg, the modern L. Ron Hubbard of today, who really did take it upon himself to data mine end users ad nauseum without a shred of liability, without a shred of, wasn't me, I have no idea, I just built the product, I just really want to help the world, I just really went to an Ivy League school to really figure out how to do this, you guys. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, that's called circumventing the toothless laws, circumventing all common sense so he could get rich quick. The tech bros are not the solution. Why don't we actually empower women such as Ms. Rodas that really do care about kids? We need people that care about actual children, not just actors like Ashton that's gonna cry and I saw a video and I should have never seen it. Yeah, no shit, Ashton. What in the hell are you doing watching those videos? Who in the hell needs to see that for themselves? Literally who? So the technology bros at Silicon Valley who have produced all the tools for the child abusers to use and facilitate and feed their sick, disgusting obsession with children are not the ones that are going to solve any MF problem, you guys. It's called they don't have any incentive to do so. And they don't have a shred of credibility or way to show us that they care, literally. So let's go through the comments. If there's anyone here that wanted to ask a question. Thank you, Willie Weed. Thank you. Thank you, Joni Cummings. Thank you, Susie Q. You guys are always so supportive. Hi, Liz. Case in the house. I mean, all of you guys are literally creating a movement that is giving us the hope, like Ms. Rhoda said, I have hope that we can do something about it, but we have to have strength in numbers because, we can't, these governmental people will only listen to consequences, you guys. It's only when they are literally facing literal consequences for themselves that then they really go figure out, oh yeah, you're right. There's a law here that we forgot to apply. Literally. Tessie Devil, Serge, keep saying their names. Matt is calling out the names of those who are old or deceased. You are standing for the minors. Yes, Tessie. Absolutely. The minors are still there. They're still stuck at the hotel. And, the seniors need representation too. I mean, my own grandma died of stage 4 breast cancer in Debbie Cook's hotel because she wasn't allowed to go to the doctor to get helped. So even the seniors need help. Even they have, horrific, disgusting things that they're facing. Khashoggi's financial interests are maybe above politics when it comes to data collecting human trafficking cults. All manner of people do, guys. Preach. I love your conviction and intensity. Nothing less is a disservice and life-threatening travesty to the plight of victims of criminals operating as government-sanctioned organization. Well, thank you. May the force be with you. Thank you that's a really cool name. May the force be with you. Yes, you guys, we are literally being the change we want to see because we're tired of people just playing dumb, giving themselves the benefit of the doubt that L. Ron Hubbard didn't give them. I mean, it wasn't like L. Ron Hubbard put it in the memos to implicate themselves fully, to become fully criminally complicit, to become utter deranged felons like we just discussed with Julian Schwartz, that has not a shred of a clue what the law is, but gives all manner of advice to people that does not serve their best interests whatsoever. So much love from you guys. Thank you. Thank you, AB Dassel. Thank you, Tina. And here's another good comment from May the Force be with you. The children are used as their lives condemned to 7 years of horrible essay violence before their bodies, psyche, spirits expire from being trafficked. Facts. Another really good point you make here, May the Force be with you, because, we would know, you guys, we were disposed as roadkill, left on the streets to fend for ourselves after they had their way with us for over a decade plus. So that could not be a more good point to be making. So many kids that are reaching out to me right now are struggling AF. They're doing their best, but, there's not a lot of people that can help them because they don't even feel seen and they are scared AF to come forward and talk because the programming of fear and the power that these people, these child traffickers like Debbie Cook and Angie Blankenship, who took it upon themselves to terrorize each and every one of us ad nauseum for, 11 plus years, it really did take a toll. But you know what? We are adults in adult bodies today, and we understand what in the literal hell is going on since we were given a front row seat at that horrific dysfunction. Prepon should stand up against the cult, become an SPTV, or otherwise she's part of the cult still. Can't have it both ways. Silence is complicity. Another really good post from you. May the force be with you. Could not agree with you more. And we've been calling out, Laura, because all of these celebrities need to figure out, if they really want to stand on the wrong side of history, as they get more and more implicated, the more they wait, the more they play dumb, the more they pay these PR tactics about, yeah, let's really tell the press that we really did leave 5 years ago. Let's really sell people kitchenware because that's what they need from me. Let's really start a YouTube channel where I really talk about myself ad nauseum, and this is my diet, and this is what I eat, and this is all of this. And what in the literal hell can you say about those kids, Laura Prepon, since it wasn't like you were not there getting served with slaved kids for yourself? There would be a lot more respect for these people if they actually stood and had a spine and said, OMFG. I literally could not effed up anymore if I tried, because I got scammed by L. Ron Hubbard and I followed his advice. And that's on me as a full-grown adult. Mother that I am, children that I do see are not adults in small bodies. That is the most pathetic AF pitch we've ever heard in our literal lives. Cornelius Antonius. Serge, I love Ms. Rodas. She reminds me of my mom. Absolutely. Ms. Rodas is a really good lady that is telling it like it is. She is being so graceful. She is fighting for those kids. She's up against all of these unthinkable people in Congress that I guess don't give a shred of an F. So we applaud all of that for that. And this is another good point from Cornelius to just double down on our point. Dead bondage equal freeloader bill. Bingo. That is what they called it. That's why we as kids, they didn't tell us, oh, we're going to dead bondage you. No, they told us, oh, you don't want to have a freeloader debt. You literally don't want to have a freeloader debt. And here's a comment from our lovely Goldie. It kills me that people go in front of Congress and think that the Congress could give a shred of an F. Right, Goldie? We're sick of the people that are not doing their jobs and, you know, people like Ms. Rodas' time getting wasted if they're not going to do a literal shred of an F. But once again, we have to think that as we expose all the facts, these people who literally need the darkness to abuse children the way they like to abuse them won't be able to get away with them once the facts are fully exposed. Once we build an army of concerned citizens who will stand up for this disgusting abomination to be happening in front of our eyes. And here's an explanation from Angela Clark. Completed staff work contains situation, data, and solution with 2 lines at the bottom, accepted or not accepted. That's right, Angela. So thank you for bringing that up. And let's contextualize Shelly's involvement and implication so she doesn't go and become one of these people that goes, but I didn't have a shred of a clue. Just like Angela was saying, situation. I went to the RPF and I got twinned with a self-admitted pedophile. Data. In 1996, I got assigned to the RPF. And then this literal self-admitted, you know what in the hell we mean, was there. And then I was told to twin with him. And then I was told that I had to redeem him. And that I was told that he had to be my therapist and I was going to be his therapist. And we were really going to interrogate each other 5 hours a day while we were also building buildings as slaves for these people. Solution, please, Shelly. I completed all of my redemption program. Please, Shelly, let me escape this disgusting Debbie Cook hotel. And there was Shelly approved. So Shelly approved me leaving Debbie Cook's hotel in 1998, you guys. Okay, so my CSW went all the way up to Shelly Miscavige, who said, you know what? This kid did take it upon himself to rehabilitate a you know what and exactly the hell we mean. Never mind that I literally had to get rid of that disgusting man in order to graduate that hole, you guys. And we will get into that story another day because it's a long one. But I did get rid of the self-admitted you know what in the hell we mean. And here's Laura FM, not losing us, babe. So effing true. I love how you're laying this down. Thank you, Laura. You rock. and hear from me. The force be with you. Clearwater, are you listening? This can be ended right now, today. Send in the SWAT, collect the kids. No one has access to their passports because the cult has stolen them and holds them hostage. I mean, literally, it's not like they don't have warehouses filled with all the receipts of our abuse. It's not like they weren't keeping it. They're that entitled. They're that narcissistic. They just pretended that if they really did document it for themselves, they were not committing a crime because their father figure, the clown indicted, told them, yeah, write it down for yourselves, you guys. Video record it too. As long as you really record your criminal activity, no one will give a shred of an F. So as much as this government has shown us that when government papers go missing, then yes, prosecutors really like step up. How could Donald Trump have taken things to Mar-a-Lago that were very confidential and secret? Well, these people have very confidential and secret admissions of self-admitted, you know what in the hell we mean, at scale, ad nauseum, times God knows how you could multiply that. So there's all of that evidence right there for everyone to literally see. But, you know, we're still at the very, very beginnings of our campaign to free all those kids inside those hotels, you guys. We're literally just getting the F started. Here's a comment from Namin. Thank you, Serge, exposing how this human trafficking cult is organized crime in Clearwater since 1975. Thank you, Namin. That's exactly what it is. It's organized crime. It's mafia. It's disgusting. And it is being enabled by the government. So we need them to stop playing dumb ASAP Rocky. Angela Clark, Scientology makes people break other people. Absolutely, you guys. I mean, going back again to Julian Schwartz, he was a kid at the cadet org. He had not a shred of a clue what in the hell he was going to be put to do. Now, could Julian Schwartz have become that criminal and unhinged in a space where that wasn't 100% enabled 24/7, 365? Maybe, maybe not. We will never know. Would Danny Masterson have become who he became for himself had he not been exposed to the scourge of child trafficking by both Hollywood and Scientology? We will literally never know the answer to that. All we know is that he really is sitting in jail as we speak, pretending that he's not guilty, pretending that he has not a shred of a clue what these women were talking about. He couldn't be more confused. He couldn't be more innocent. But literally, that is why he had the literal book thrown at him. Had Mr. Danny gone and said, what in the literal hell am I doing? I am a disgusting, sick MFer that needs to be put in its place for once, then bingo, the law would have said, okay, well, guilty plea, and then you'll get this much, and then you get your lesson, and then you will really tell us what in the hell was going on and how Scientology, instead of not being implicated, right? Scientology never stopped pitching in their stupid ass PR statements that we're putting out for themselves, defending the indefensible, but we're not part of the crime. We're not part of this criminal thing, you guys. We're just innocent bystanders on the side. And I guess, you know, I'm no lawyer, so I have no effing clue how in the literal hell them literally monetizing on all the admissions of these felonies that Danny told them he did. You know, we went over that in Aaron's video today again. It's not like Danny didn't know, you guys. If this was a case where all these Jane Does just made it all up, literally had not a shred of credibility because there's just one day stood up and said, you know, it would be a great idea to waste the rest of our lives with this disgusting process And yeah, let's just all make it all up. Well, you know what? Then Scientology would have had such an easy way of proving it. Look, we have all the files of Danny right here. Nothing ever came up. You see, he's just a really angelical, perfect person. Never mind that that's not what happened. Never mind that all the defenders, all the people that were in that courthouse, including but not limited to his mother, including to but not limited to Chris Masterson, Jordan, Alana, and every last shred of supporter that went there to put up this PR front that are also united in crime is what it's called, you guys. United in crime. We're all in on aiding and abetting whatever in the hell Danny did, because, you know, that hotel does have us fully implicated ourselves. So it is important to make public what is done to you, even though it will be traumatizing to the public. Thank you, Tuamaka. I don't know how to say your name. Sorry if I just completely butchered that, but that is one of the hardest things that we're having to do when we come up here, you guys, because, you know, we don't want to be doing this. We left Scientology so long ago, and we tried our best to get the corporate media that doesn't have a shred of a spine to do their job. It is unthinkable that we are having to resort to this because everyone wants to just play dumb full time while getting paid for it. This is another comment from Goldie. There aren't many professions where you work once and get paid forever for that same work. Cry me an effing river. Exactly, Goldie. There aren't so many of those professions. Just pay, and be completely ridiculous. And here we have a super sticker from Belinda, $50. Oh my God, Belinda, that is so nice. Thank you so much. That is so sweet of you. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all of you guys, every single one of you that I'm reading all these comments. Let's see. I think we're almost done. Well, again, you guys, so many amazing comments. So that is what we're going to do with this video for today. But don't you worry, we have more lives coming on today since there's a lot of things to still cover. So please make sure you do check out the FDLE's page on Instagram and see what in the hell is that Florida Department of Law Enforcement posting platitudes about really enforcing the laws of Florida while not enforcing a shred of a law in Clearwater, Florida. So I really want to thank you all for listening. I really want you to understand that we could not be more grateful for all of y'all's support, because we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have your support. So thank you very much. I will see you guys really, really soon coming up. We have probably 2 or 3 more lives that we're going to do today. So if you can catch them, great. Don't feel bad if you don't make the live, you guys. Replay it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So a lot of you say, oh my God, I didn't make the live, but it's totally okay. Whoever can come when you can come is already so appreciated. So thank you so much. And I will see you all extremely, extremely soon. Bye-bye.